Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely.
Oh, great
It's a
choice.
book all about, the hidden forces that shaped our choices every day,
Yeah, yeah.
from that morning coffee
Oh,
to
yeah.
even potentially picking a life partner.
Wow.
Like, think of it as like a shortcut to
Mhm.
understanding those kind of quirky decisions we all make sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Ariely's work, it's really fascinating, It
Hmm.
challenges like that traditional view of economics.
Right.
Like we assume we're all these rational beings
Right.
making all these calculated choices, but really he shows how we're actually predictably irrational.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these patterns, they really impact our lives in a big way.
So let's unpack one of the first big ideas from the book,
Okay.
relativity.
Okay.
The idea that we don't judge things in a vacuum.
Hmm.
We're always comparing things to something else.
Right, right.
And remember that classic Crocodile Dundee
Oh,
scene?
yeah, yeah, where he's got that, that huge knife
Yeah.
after some guy threatens him with the tiny switchblade.
Right.
It's the perfect analogy because our brains are wired for comparison.
Yeah, yeah.
We're constantly sizing things up, just like Dundee with those knives.
Exactly.
But this tendency, it goes way beyond just knives,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Like, uh, take the example of that Economist magazine subscription.
Oh, yeah, yeah, good one.
They presented these three options: online only,
Okay.
print only,
Uh-huh.
and then a combined print and online subscription.
Right, right.
But the catch was the print only and the combined option were priced the same.
Yeah.
So it was like they wanted people to think, well, why would I ever just get the print?
Yeah, why would I pick that when I can get both for the same price?
Exactly.
It's such a classic example of a decoy.
Like that useless print only option was just there to nudge people towards the more expensive one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I mean, it really plays on that, our aversion to loss. We
Yeah.
hate missing out, right?
Right.
So we instinctively feel like worse about losing something than we feel good about gaining something of equal value.
Yeah, yeah.
It's powerful.
So that decoy, it makes you feel like you're avoiding a loss by choosing that combo deal.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah.
And this happens like everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Picking a restaurant, vacation, even like online shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Those suggested for you sections.
Yeah.
They're like designed to make you second guess your initial choice.
It's true.
So how can we avoid falling for these decoys all the time?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Okay.
Like recognizing that we're all susceptible to this relativity bias.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Okay.
Like when you're making a decision, you really have to actively try to evaluate based on inherent value to you,
Mm-hmm.
not just comparing to, whatever else is right there next to it.
It's like taking a step back and saying, do I actually want this? Or am I just, am I being manipulated?
Exactly.
Okay, so moving on from those sneaky decoys, let's talk about another interesting concept.
Oh, yeah.
Anchoring.
Anchoring.
It's all about first impressions.
Yeah.
I remember reading about this experiment where Ariely asked students to write down the last two digits of their social security numbers
Okay.
before bidding on items like wine and chocolate.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it sounds totally random, right?
Yeah.
But what they found was that those random numbers, completely unrelated to the value of those items,
Right.
it actually influenced their bids.
Wow.
Students with higher social security numbers,
Okay.
they consistently bid way more.
Oh, wow.
So even a random number can become this anchor that weighs down our thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
How does that even happen?
Well, our brains just, they latch on to that first piece of information they receive,
Okay.
even if it's totally irrelevant. And sets a reference point that, subconsciously influences all those later judgments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It's wild.
It makes you think about those, those initial prices you see for electronics.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the price of the first DVD player you ever bought is still influencing how much you're willing to spend today.
Absolutely.
Even though technology and prices have totally changed since then.
It shows just how enduring, those initial experiences can be.
Yeah, yeah.
They set a baseline in our minds,
Yeah.
a frame of reference that can just linger for years,
Yeah.
subtly shaping our perception of value and, what we're willing to spend.
Right, so we've got to be careful about those first impressions.
Yeah, they really stick with us.
And speaking of things that can totally hijack our rational thinking,
Okay.
let's talk about the irresistible allure of free Jack.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we've all been there, right? Like grabbing that free pen at a conference, even though we have a drawer full at home. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or like going for the buy one, get one free deal,
Uh,
even if you don't really need to.
we've all fallen prey to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ariely, he illustrates this perfectly with his chocolate experiment.
Okay.
He offered people a choice.
Mhm.
Lindt truffles for 15 cents
Okay.
or Hershey's Kisses for 1 cent.
Okay.
And most people went for the truffles, right?
Yeah.
Better chocolate, better value.
Right.
But then he changed it up.
Okay.
He offered the truffles for 14 cents
Okay.
and the kisses for free.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, what happened?
Everyone wants the free kisses now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Suddenly they were willing to pass up better chocolate just to get something for free.
Yeah.
Even though, like, rationally, they were getting a slightly worse deal.
Yeah.
It's all about, it's what he calls the zero price effect.
Okay.
That for free
Yeah.
triggers this, like, emotional response that
Mhm.
overrides our rational cost-benefit analysis. I guess it just plays on that, like, inherent desire to get something for nothing.
Right.
We get so caught up in the excitement of free
Yeah.
that we don't even stop to think if we actually need it or even want it.
It's like a mental shortcut.
Yeah.
It bypasses that logical part of our brains that would normally be like assessing the value.
Right.
And it's not just about grabbing freebies.
Yeah.
Like, think about free shipping
Oh, yeah.
or those buy one, get one free deals.
Mhm.
It's a marketing goldmine.
They're using our own psychology against us.
Exactly.
But free isn't always a bad thing, is it?
Oh, no, not at all.
Like, I mean, you think about things like free flu shots
Right.
or like free museum entry on certain days.
Yeah.
Those can be good things.
Absolutely. It's a powerful tool,
Yeah.
that can be used to encourage like desired behaviors, even in areas like public health or education.
Oh, right.
Like offering free preventative care
Mm-hmm.
can lead to better health outcomes.
Yeah.
And free access to educational resources can really empower, individuals and communities.
So it's all about understanding this powerful force and using it for good.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've seen how external factors like decoys and like, the allure of a free E can affect our decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those times when, social expectations come into play?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Like imagine you're at your mother-in-law's house for Thanksgiving,
Okay.
having a lovely meal,
Uh-huh.
and you decide to pull out your wallet and offer to pay her for the feast.
Oh, no.
You're likely to get some confused looks.
Yeah, probably.
And maybe even offend some people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because Thanksgiving dinner falls squarely into the realm of social norms.
Right.
It's a world of like, favors and reciprocity
Yeah.
and, a sense of community.
Yeah.
Offering money in that context just feels wrong.
Totally.
It's like offering to pay a friend for helping you move.
Yeah, exactly.
It just, it throws off that whole dynamic. You're shifting from this like warm, fuzzy social exchange to this cold, transactional, like market exchange.
Right. Exactly.
Ariely highlights this with a simple experiment
Oh, yeah.
where people were asked to drag circles across a computer screen.
Uh-huh.
Some were paid a small amount,
Okay.
some a larger amount, and then some weren't paid at all.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, the unpaid group, they worked the hardest.
Oh, wow.
Driven by goodwill, like a sense of helping out.
Okay.
But here's the interesting part. The people paid a tiny amount, they actually worked the least.
Oh, wow.
So they felt like they were being undervalued.
Yeah, like it was just a menial job.
Yeah.
Right.
That small amount of money, it shifted their motivation.
It shifted it from social norms to market norms.
Yeah.
And it backfired.
So it backfired, yeah.
Yeah.
And this raises some important questions, especially in the context of today's workplace.
Oh, yeah.
Like how companies try to foster that sense of community with things like free snacks and, team building activities.
Right.
But at the same time, maybe they're cutting back on benefits or job security.
Yeah, exactly.
So are they really fostering social norms, or are they just, creating an illusion?
Yeah, are they just operating under market norms?
Right.
Yeah.
And companies and even governments, they need to be mindful of this distinction, right?
Yeah, if they want to, cultivate genuine engagement and motivation,
Yeah.
understanding those, the power of those social incentives is so crucial.
Yeah, sometimes a sincere thank you can be more effective than a bonus check.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's some food for thought.
It is.
Okay, so far we've uncovered some pretty powerful forces that shape our choices,
Yeah.
sometimes without us even realizing it.
Right.
But before we go any deeper into Predictably Irrational, we need to take a quick break.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more mind-bending insights from Dan Ariely.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back, everyone. All right, so we've been talking about, like how our decisions are influenced by external factors and social contexts.
Yeah.
But what about those internal struggles?
Oh, yeah.
Like when you should be working on that big project,
Right.
but somehow you end up like, I don't know, organizing your sock drawer instead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about procrastination.
Ah, yes. The art of delaying tasks,
Yeah,
even when we know it might not be in our best interest.
right.
Ariely, he's a great example of this with his
God.
students.
Mm-hmm.
They were allowed to choose their own deadlines for papers.
Okay.
So you'd think they would all pick, like, the last possible day.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
Right, to maximize their time.
Yeah, more time to procrastinate. I mean, work diligently.
Of course, of course.
But that's not what happened.
Not quite.
Really?
A lot of the students, they recognize their own procrastination tendencies, and they strategically set earlier deadlines
Oh, interesting.
to force themselves to, get started sooner.
So they were like using deadlines as a way to outsmart their future selves.
Exactly.
That's pretty clever.
It is, and what's fascinating is, the ones who set those earlier deadlines,
Okay.
they actually performed better.
Oh, wow.
It suggests that by understanding our own tendencies for procrastination,
Right.
we can design like systems
Mm-hmm.
to help us stay on track.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It's like, setting up those automatic savings plans
Oh, yeah.
or using those apps that block distracting websites.
Well-
You're essentially creating like external guardrails
Yeah,
to keep yourself focused.
exactly. And it highlights the importance of, recognizing that tension
Mm-hmm.
between our long-term goals and our desire for,
Yeah.
immediate gratification.
Yeah, right.
We might know saving for retirement is important, but that new gadget or vacation seems so much more appealing right now.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It's a constant battle.
It is.
But at least like knowing that we're wired this way
Right.
gives us some power to,
Yeah.
work around those tendencies.
Yeah.
Instead of just feeling bad about procrastinating,
Hmm.
you can try to like anticipate it
Right.
and put systems in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Ariely even suggests that this principle,
Okay.
understanding our own irrationalities
Mm-hmm.
and designing, systems accordingly.
Right.
It could be applied to like broader societal challenges.
So you mean like finding ways to improve healthcare compliance?
Yeah.
Or like encouraging people to save more for retirement?
Exactly.
Because those are areas where people
Right.
often struggle with procrastination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can design systems that, acknowledge and work with those tendencies,
Hmm.
we might be able to, nudge people towards making choices that are in their best interest.
Okay, so we've got relativity, anchoring, the power of free E, and the challenges of procrastination.
Right.
But there's another factor that, that shapes our choices.
Okay.
One that's a little less tangible expectations.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how, like a fancy label
Mhm.
or a higher price tag
Yeah.
can actually make something taste better?
It's true.
Like that, $20 bottle of wine
Right.
suddenly seems so much more sophisticated
Yeah.
than the $10 one, even if they're like basically the same.
Right. It's more than just perception, though.
Yeah.
Ariely, he did this really interesting experiment
Okay.
where he served people the same beer,
Uh-huh.
but told some of them it was like, a special expensive craft brew.
I bet they raved about it.
They did. They actually rated it higher,
Wow.
even though it was, the exact same drink
Yeah.
as the one given to the other group.
So their expectations actually changed their experience.
Right.
That's wild. It's incredible how powerful our minds can be.
It's amazing.
It makes you think about all the other ways expectations might be shaping our experiences.
Right.
Not just with like food and drink,
Yeah.
but with, people, places, even ourselves.
Absolutely. Like if we go into a situation with certain expectations,
Right.
we're more likely to find, evidence
Yeah.
that confirms those beliefs.
Right.
Even if it's not entirely accurate.
Right. And this is also at the heart of like the placebo effect, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Where people experience real changes
Yeah.
just because they believe they're getting something that will help.
The power of belief is a real thing.
It really is. It's both fascinating and
Yeah.
a little unsettling.
It is a little bit, yeah.
Because it means that we can be swayed, like,
Right.
even when we're not consciously aware of it.
Yeah, so it's crucial to be aware of this
Okay.
and to, to cultivate a healthy dose of skepticism when we question our assumptions
Right.
and, challenge our preconceived notions.
Yeah.
We're more likely to see things as they truly are.
Okay. And speaking of challenging assumptions,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about honesty.
Okay.
I mean, we all like to think of ourselves as, good, honest people.
Right.
But Ariely's research, it reveals some interesting
Yeah.
nuances about, like, when and how we bend the rules.
Mm.
It all started with this experiment
Okay.
involving a communal refrigerator
Oh, interesting.
stocked with cans of Coke
Okay.
and plates of dollar bills.
I have a feeling I know what happened here.
Yeah, the Coke disappeared, but
Right.
the cash stayed put.
Yeah.
People were so much more willing to take the soda, even though, like, obviously it had a monetary value.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a disconnect when we're dealing with things that aren't, like, directly cash.
Yeah.
We're more likely to rationalize those non-monetary cheats.
Yeah, it feels less like stealing,
Yeah.
even if it, it technically is.
So, like, fudging numbers on expense reports or, like, taking extra office supplies home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to justify those actions
Yeah.
because it doesn't feel like you're stealing
Right.
Ariesley. He calls this moral flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be, especially pervasive in corporate settings.
Right, where those non-monetary incentives are more common.
Yeah. So those lines get kind of blurry,
They do, yeah.
between what's acceptable and what's not.
Right.
It's a slippery slope.
It is.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. It's like when we're dealing with those non-monetary currencies, a part of our brain just like, shuts off the morality alarm.
It does, yeah.
But then we see that like crisp dollar bill and
Yeah.
suddenly it's like, thou shalt not steal.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's almost like those symbols,
Right.
like the image of George Washington
Yeah.
or the inscription, "In God We Trust."
Mm-hmm.
They're meant to reinforce that sense of honesty.
It's like they're trying to prime us for honesty with every transaction.
Right.
But even with all those reminders, it's clear that our sense of honesty, it's not always black and white.
Not at all.
It's influenced by context,
Mm-hmm.
by like the perceived value of what we're taking
Right.
and how directly it translates into a loss for someone else.
Right.
Okay, and speaking of social influences,
Okay.
let's talk about those moments when when you're trying to make a decision in a group,
Okay.
like when you're at a restaurant
Yeah.
and everyone seems to be ordering the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to like second guess your own choice.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like you suddenly become,
Yeah.
hyper aware of your own decision. Like,
Yeah.
am I being too basic?
Yeah. Or too adventurous.
Yeah. Does Ariely have anything to say about that?
He does. He conducted a study where people, they ordered beer at a brewery.
Uh-huh.
Some ordered privately,
Okay.
and others, they ordered aloud in a group,
Okay.
like one after another.
Okay.
And what they found was that, the people who ordered publicly,
Okay.
they were more likely to choose different beers,
Oh, interesting.
even if it meant ordering something they didn't necessarily want.
So they were trying to like stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. Avoid looking like they were just copying everyone else.
Yeah.
Right.
It highlights how our decisions can be influenced by, that
Yeah.
desire to be unique
Yeah.
or to like avoid being seen as a follower.
Subjective.
We might think we're making independent choices,
Right.
but those choices are often shaped by, social context and
Mhm.
like how other people might be judging us.
Right.
And it's not just about beer.
Right. No, not at all.
This can apply to like everything.
Yeah, like what to
It's-
wear to making investment decisions.
Right. That's so true. I've definitely felt that pressure
Yeah.
to, to conform or to be different.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to like seemingly small choices.
And it's interesting.
Yeah.
The people who are happiest with their beer choice
Okay.
were the ones who ordered first in the public group.
Oh.
They were free to choose what they wanted
Right.
without that pressure
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of, conforming or differentiating themselves.
It's a good reminder to just,
Yeah.
trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
Yeah.
And go with what you, genuinely prefer.
Right.
Even when you're in a group setting.
Yeah.
Don't let the fear of judgment
Right.
sway you from making a choice that feels right for you.
Well said. Okay. So with that,
Yeah.
I think it's time to move into the final stretch
Okay.
of our deep dive into Predictably Irrational. So we've spent this whole deep dive exploring all these, fascinating ways we're predictably irrational.
Right.
But this isn't about feeling doomed to a life of, bad choices, is it?
No, not at all. That's the beauty of Ariely's work,
Yeah.
By illuminating these patterns.
Right.
He's not just pointing out our flaws. He's giving us a roadmap to better decision making.
Yeah, it's like, he's handing us a cheat sheet for navigating those tricky situations where our instincts might, lead us astray.
Exactly.
Like knowing about anchoring and decoys and the allure of free, it arms us with the, the awareness to make more conscious choices.
Absolutely.
Right.
Instead of just, blindly reacting, we can take a step back and ask ourselves, is this really what I want?
Yeah.
Or am I being, nudged in a certain direction?
Right. Like next time you see that free pen at a conference,
Right.
maybe you'll actually pause and think, do I actually need this?
Or am I just falling for the zero price effect?
It's a good point.
And when you're faced with a big decision,
Yeah.
remembering the power of relativity can help us break free from those comparisons that might be like clouding our judgment.
Exactly.
Instead of just focusing on like how option A stacks up against option B, we can ask, what truly matters to me in this
It's
situation?
about shifting from a reactive mindset to a proactive one.
Right.
Predictably irrational. It's not just about understanding these quirks. It's about using that knowledge to improve our lives.
Right. Whether it's setting up those automatic savings plans to combat procrastination.
Right.
Or, consciously questioning those first impressions that might be anchoring our perceptions.
Absolutely.
One thing that really struck me throughout this book is the importance of designing systems that work with our irrationalities.
Yes.
Rather than trying to fight them.
We can set ourselves up for success by anticipating those moments of weakness and putting, guardrails in place.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Right. Exactly. We're not going to become perfectly rational beings overnight.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Ariely's work helps us embrace our imperfections.
Right.
While still, striving to make choices that align with our goals and values.
Yeah, it's like, it's like learning to dance with our inner irrational selves.
I like that.
Yeah.
Accepting those quirks, but also, learning to lead, to guide ourselves towards those choices that ultimately bring us more satisfaction and fulfillment.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about eliminating those irrational impulses. It's about becoming more more aware of them.
Right.
More intentional in how we respond.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Predictably Irrational, what's that one big takeaway that you hope our listener walks away with?
I think it's this. We are all wonderfully, fascinatingly irrational.
Yeah.
But by understanding, the forces at play, those subtle nudges, those mental shortcuts, we can become more conscious architects of our own lives.
I like that.
Right. We can make choices that are aligned with our true desires.
Right.
Rather than being, puppets to our own predictable biases.
It's about reclaiming that power, isn't it?
Yes.
Recognizing that we have, more control than we might realize.
Exactly. Predictably irrational is a call to action.
Yeah.
It's an invitation to become students of our own behavior.
Right.
To observe those moments of irrationality with curiosity and in a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And then armed with that knowledge to start making choices that lead to a happier, more fulfilling life.
Well said. And to our listener out there, we hope this deep dive has, sparked some new insights and inspired you to explore Predictably Irrational yourself.
Yeah, it's a great book.
It really is. It's a book that, changes the way you see the world and your place in it.
Absolutely.
So, as you go about your day, remember to pay attention to those decision points.
Yeah, big and small.
Big and small, yeah. Ask yourself, what's really driving this choice?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a rational decision?
Right.
Or am I being swayed by one of those, predictable irrationalities?
Exactly.
And with a little bit of introspection
Yeah.
and a healthy dose of skepticism,
Right.
we can all become savvier decision makers.
Absolutely.
And maybe even have a little fun unraveling the mysteries of our wonderfully irrational minds along the way.
That's the best part.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.